Ellora, hidden away from view in the middle of nowhere, or it may seem to us today, and nestled in the hills themselves, are two magical locations where the rulers of yore thought it befitting to display the artistry of their time, recording for posterity stories from mythology. These caves are none other than famous Ajanta and Ellora Caves, located near the city of Aurangabad in Maharasthra. This city is all geared for tourists who flock in from all over the world to see these famous caves. The richness of their imagery and the fact that they were carved between the 2nd century BC and the 8th century AD is highly impressive. Located just 66 kilometers from each other, the twin sites crown and achievements of the whole of the ancient South India, displaying the most unusual architectural and painting expertise. Three religions in high tide, Hinduism, Buddhism and Jainism, combined at Ellora to create an awe-inspiring fusion of sculpture, art and architectural elements that remains unparalleled by any single heritage site in the rest of the world. The clutch of 34 caves that are collectively known as Ellora were built between 5th century and 10th century AD over an area of 1.5 miles on the gentle slopes of Chamdari Hills. In conclusion, the Ajanta and Ellora Caves are worth a visit for a trip down memory lane. Ellora cave temples are located at a distance of around 28 kilometers from the city of Aurangabad. They constitute one of the most beautiful expressions of the art of the Indian Middle Ages and are designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. These breathtaking caves are definitely worth visiting for their remarkable reliefs, sculptures and architecture. Ellora, with its uninterrupted sequence of monuments, brings the civilization of ancient India to life. Not only is the Ellora complex a unique artistic creation and a technological exploit, but with its sanctuaries devoted to Buddhism, Hinduism and Jainism, it illustrates the spirit of tolerance that was characteristic of ancient India. The Ellora temples represent the greatest example of cave excavation architecture in the entire world. Built during the Gupta period of the 6th to 8th centuries AD, the caves were constructed by digging into a mountainside and removing thousands of tons of rocks, leaving only the temple structures behind. There are 34 magnificent caves in Ellora, hewn out in the solid rock of Charandari Hills. The first 12 caves from cave number 1 to 12 are the Buddhist caves, excavated during the time of Chalukyas of the Vatapikonda, means modern Badami in Bijapur, between 600 AD to 700 AD. The later Hindu caves from cave number 13 to 29 were excavated between 700 AD to 800 AD, and the last group of the Jain caves from cave number 30 to 34 were excavated between 800 to 1000 AD. The Hindu and Jain caves were excavated under the royal patronage of Rashtragut dynasty. As this city is properly connected by air, train and roads. Cave number 1 is a uncomplicated vihara with pillars or carving absent from them. There are 4 cells in the south and east walls around a 13-meter square assembly hall which were used by the monks for residential purpose. Cave number 2 was a hall for worship and is accessed by a flight of stairs. At the door of the cave are Dwarpala, means the guards, flanked by windows. The interior has a hall. 12 pillars support this hall. Some of the pillars are decorated with the pod and foliage motif. A gallery runs down each side. In the center of the back wall is a 3-meter high seated Buddha and 2 standing Buddhas, while along each of the side walls are 5 Buddhas accompanied by Bodhisattvas and Apsaras. Apsaras means celestial nymphs. Cave number 4. It is a similar, having a square central chamber with a Buddha image, this time seated on a lotus at the far end. Around the walls are 12 meditation cells. Is 2-storied and not in very good condition. It contains a Buddha sitting under the bo tree, means the peepal tree. Cave number 5, known as the Maharvada, is the largest of the single-story caves in this group, measuring 17.6 meter by 36 meter. The cave contains 24 massive pillars, 20 cells, 2 raised long stone platforms, and a shrine with a giant statue of Buddha is flanked by 2 Bodhisattvas, Padampani and Vajrapani. Cave number 6. Cave number 6 is a rectangular column hall with 2 smaller subsidiary chambers and several interesting sculptures. Tara and Mahamayuri are some of them. The scantum doorway is guarded by large bodhisattvas and river goddess appear on the pilasters. An unexpected innovation is the figure of Hindu goddess of learning, Saraswati. Cave number 7 has 12 unfinished cells and a seated Buddha. Cave number 8, the shrine in the cave is brought out into hall and has a passageway around it. Cave number 9. It is accessed through the hall of cave number 6 and consists of a small hall, open terrace with balcony and a shrine. The facade is richly decorated with rows of chaitya, windows separated by figures of dwarfs. This embellished facade has, among other motifs and deities, an unusual scene of the goddess Tara rescuing devotees from the perils of snake, sword and elephant and fire and shipwreck. Cave number 10. Vishwakarma or Carpenter's Cave is the only chaitya, means chapel, cave in the group. It was a monastery. This is on the ground floor, and above are what are presumed to have been the residential place of the monks. In front is a large courtyard approached by a flight of stairs. The galleries around it have square-based pillars, at the base of which is a lion with its face with mane jutting outwards. At the back of these galleries are two extensively carved chapels. The exterior decoration gives the impression that instead of stone, wood was the building material. Cave number 11. This cave is known as Dothal, means two-storied, had a third story discovered in 1876 when the basement was discovered. The lowest level is veranda with a shrine and at the back of it. The middle level has 8 pillars at the front and 5 rear cells, of which only the 3 at the center are completed and decorated. The upper level has a porch opening into a long corridor hall with a Buddha shrine at the rear. Images of Durga and Ganesh suggest that the cave was later used by Hindus. Cave number 12. This cave is known as Teen Thal, means three-storied. It has cells for sleeping, means stone benches on the lower floor. The second story consists of a large hall of 35 meter by 21.33 meter. The third story of this cave is very important. There are 14 impressive images of Buddha, 7 in teaching attitude and the other 7 in meditation attitude. The rows of 7 Buddhas are symbolic of the belief that he appears on this earth every 5,000 years and has already visited it 7 times. Cave number 13. There is nothing much of interest in this cave, and it was probably a resting place or dharamshala. Cave number 14. Dating from the 7th century, known as Ravan Ki Khai, is single-storied It is also the last of the collection from the early period. River goddesses and guardians stand at the doorway, while a dilapidated image of Durga and figurative panels on the walls of the principal deities Vishnu, Shiva, Lakshmi and Parvati is inside. Cave number 15. This cave is known as Davatara. This cave has begun towards the middle of the 8th century. It could be reached by a flight of steps, has a large courtyard and is two-storied. The first story is a simple hall. In the second story there are many sculptural panels which illustrate a wide range of mythological subject. Cave number 16. Kailashnath temple, mid 8th century onwards. There is a car park in front of the temple. The Kailashnath temple is the most unmatched of the rock cut structures at Ellora and is completely exposed to the natural elements. The entire Kailashnath temple is carved out of 85,000 cubic meters of rock. The contrivance and execution of the full temple plan is an extraordinary tribute to the mental images and adept artistry. Carving would have begun from the acme and worked down to the foot. Enormous blocks were left untouched. The porch, the freestanding pillars and other shrines were later carved from this monolith. The main shrine was carved on what became the upper story as the lower floor was cut out below. It is credited to the Rashtrakoot king Danti Durga 725 to 55 and must have taken years to complete to intimate the real snow covered. Carving would have begun from acme and worked down to the foot. Enormous blocks were left untouched. The porch, the freestanding pillars and other shrines were later carved from this monolith. The main shrine was carved on what became the upper story, as the lower floor was cut out below. It is credited to the Rashtrakoot king Danti Durga between 725 to 755 and must have taken years to complete. To imitate the real snow-covered peaks, the shikhars here were once covered with white plaster. The style of this cave temple suggests that it is a Dravidian style of architecture. The temple entrance is 50 meter long and 33 meter wide, and the tower rises 29 meter above the level of the court. At the entrance gate, the threshold between the profane and sacred world, the goddess Ganga and Yamuna form the door gems, suggesting purification by their waters. Just inside are two seated sages, Vyas, the legendary author of Mahabharata, and Valmiki, who wrote the Ramayana. In the porch, 4 columns carry the Indian vase and foliage motif, a symbol of fecundity and prosperity. On each side of the doorway there are images of Kubera, the god of wealth, or Indian Mamoon, with other symbols of well-being such as the conch shell and the lotus. Two more figures complete the welcoming party. They are Ganesha, the elephant-headed son of Shiva, the foreboding deity of good fortune, and Durga, Shiva's wife, who fought the demons. In the cubicle opposite is Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth. In the courtyard to your right and left are freestanding elephants lined up. On the left round the corner is a panel depicting Kama, the god of desire, carrying his bow and 5 arrows, one for each of the senses. On the far wall to the left of the entrance, behind the pillars, is the shrine of 3 river goddesses, Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati. Symbolically, they stand for purity, devotion and wisdom respectively. This is a good place to photograph and central shrine. The 2 carved monolithic pillars are probably stylished flagstaff indicating royal patronage, a practice that Ashoka universalized in 3rd century BC. There are 2 distinct labels taking the devotees from the courtyard by 2 staircases flanking the central hall to the lower label with its processional path and then rising even higher to the upper level of the mandapa. The central assembly hall around the central shrine is a arcaded hall gouged from the rock, which in places protrude perilously. Inside this cloister is a series of panels portraying Shiva and Vishnu myths. The whole can be viewed as a sort of instructional picture gallery, a purpose it served for worshippers from ancient times who could not read. The temple rises in a pyramid, heavier and more squat. The shape suggests enormous strength. As you leave, the path to the left leads up and around the temple, giving a bird-eye view of the magnificent complex. Cave number 17. With huge pillars, this cave has some very good sculptures of Brahma, Vishnu, Ganesh and Mahishasur-Mardini. In this cantum there is a Shivling. Cave number 18, 19. There are 4 pillars and this cantum has a Shivlinga. There is a Shivling in its scantum. Cave number 20. After ascending some steps, there are huge images of gatekeepers. In this cantum, Shivlinga and the images of Ganesh and Mahishasur-Mardini are worth seeing. Cave number 21. Known as Rameshwara, this cave has an attractive facade, specializes in portraits of beautiful women. This cave is excellently carved and belonged to the earlier phase at Ellora, dating from the 6th century Kalachuri period. In front of it is Nandi on the usual raised platform. Close by are the figure of the river goddesses Ganga and Yamuna. The figure of the Ganga in human form riding on a crocodile is so exquisitely carved, exhibiting her graceful, slender and elegant physique and a self-conscious smile which demonstrate the rich art rock cutting. The cave also contains other beautiful sculptures. Some of them are marriage of Shiva and Parvati in the presence of the gods. Cave number 22. The bluish color of Shivlinga gives it the name Neelkant. It also has a freestanding Nandi, now damaged, as well as a separate shrine for the Matrikas. Cave number 23. The unique feature of this cave is that it has the combination figure of 3 gods, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. This figure is known as Trimurti. Cave number 24. The cave has only 4 Shiv temples. Cave number 25. It is quite spacious, having a platform with beautifully carved pillars in front. A sculpture of Kubera, the Hindu god of wealth, is on the right. There are, as usual, the figures of the doorkeepers, but the sanctum has no Shivlinga. On the ceiling is carved a beautiful chariot of the sun god pulled by 7 horses. Cave number 26. The cave has 6 pillars and, as usual, a Shivlinga with the 2 female doorkeepers. Cave number 27. On the left are the figures of a boar, goddess Mahishashurmardini, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. On the other side are sculptures of Balrama, Shri Krishna and a deity. There is also a sculpture of Lord Vishnu reclining on a serpent. Cave number 28, situated under a waterfall which runs for 6-7 months in a year, is called as Dhara Tirth. Cave number 29. This, the second best cave next to Kailash, is called Dhumarlena and Sita Nahani, means bathroom of Sita. Almost 50 meters wide and 5 meters height, it is similar to the caves at Elephanta, Iceland in concept. There are 3 entrances to the cave, each guarded by seated lions. Dated to middle of 7th century and belongs to the Chalukya period, this cave is so excavated that enough sunlight comes into it. The cave have 26 big and beautifully carved pillars. There are figures of Shiva killing the demons Andhaka, Shiva as Nataraj, Shiv in Padmasan Mudra and goddess Yamuna riding on tortoise. Cave number 30, dating from early 9th century, called Chota Kailash, being a small and incomplete replica of Kailashnath temple. This cave, with a freestanding temple in the middle of a court, has pillars and ceilings which are adorned with carved lotus flowers. The columned shrine has 22 Tirthankaras with Mahavira in the sanctuary. Cave number 31. This cave has only figures of Mahavira, Parshvanath and Gomateshwar. Cave number 32. Dating from 9th century, known as Indrasabha, is the finest of the Jain series and is dedicated to Mahavir. A simple gateway leads into an open court, in the middle of which stands the shrine. The walls have carvings of elephants, lions and Tirthankaras. The lower of the two is incomplete, but the upper has carving of Ambika and also Mahavir, flanked by guardians of earlier Tirthankaras. The ceiling is richly carved with a massive lotus at the center, and you can see signs of painted figures among clouds. No other cave temple at Ellora is so complete in its arrangements or so finished in its workmanship as the upper story of the Indrasabha. Cave number 33. Similar to cave number 32, this cave known as Jagannath Sabha. It consists of 5 independent shrines, each with a columned mandapa and some good sculptures. Cave have good figures of Mahavir, Matanga and Siddhaika disposed on 2 levels. Cave number 34. This is the last of the Jain caves, continues the austere tradition of the other Jain temples at Ellora. Greshwaneshwar Temple. There are 12 Jyotirlingas in India and one of them is that of Greshwaneshwar Temple situated just near Ellora Caves. This Jyotirling is said to be self-oriented. According to historical records, it was built in 7th century by Sati Ahilyabai and mother-in-law Gautam Bhai. There is a small entrance passing which one reaches the courtyard of the temple. Half portion of the temple is of red sandstone and the other half seems to be of plaster. It contains a shivling in front of which is the marble image of goddess Parvati. A fair is held every year on Mahashivratri. It is 12th Jyotirling of Shiva. Other historical places of Aurangabad. Panchakki or water mill. During the Mughal times, the Panchakki or water mill derived its names from a mill worked by water power for grinding corn for the poor and military garrison. The water flows down through clay pipes based on the siphon system from a distance of 11 kilometers. It was built in 1624 AD to a Muslim saint Baba Shah Muzaffar. The mill is situated in a garden attached to the shrine of the saint who was the spiritual preceptor of Emperor Aurangzeb. The tomb is a plain structure, well-laid gardens alongside several tanks, ornamented with fountains, make a fine setting. There is a large hall under tank, rivulet skirts the garden and an artificial waterfall adds interest to the scene. Bibi-Ka-Maqbara. In 1670 AD, Bibi-Ka-Maqbara was built by the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb in memory of his wife Rabia Durrani. It is 8 kilometers from the town. It was modelled on the Taj Mahal at Agra, the creation of Aurangzeb's father Shah Jahan. However, it is a poor imitation. The exterior lacks in symmetry. The structure is topped by marble dome, but the walls are plaster. An octagonal screen of perforated marble encloses the tomb. The interior decoration has nothing in comparison with the great architectural wonder at Agra. Yet Bibi-Ka-Maqbara has its own splendor and grace. A high wall with bastions runs around the edifice. The recesses have little minarets. The entrance leads to an arch, and from the point of a fine view of the structure, a head may be obtained. The pavements that lead to the mausoleum are flanked by oblong reservoirs. Daulatabad. About 15 kilometers from Aurangabad on the road to Ellora rises the famous medieval fortress Daulatabad. The great pyramidal shape is visible from a good distance as it dominates the landscape. The history of Daulatabad goes back to the 12th century when it was the capital of the Hindu king Deccan and was called Devgiri, means the hill of gods. The fortress of Devgiri was constructed by Raja Bhilamraj of Yadav dynasty, who was a great general of time. The hill was the site of a rock-hewn citadel which was considered to be invulnerable. Devgiri yielded to enemy assault and passed into the possession of the sultans of Delhi in 1308 AD. Bhadra Maruti. In Khuldabad, There is an ancient temple of Bhadramaruti which has recently been renovated. Every Sunday, lakhs of pilgrims come here to worship. On Shani, Amavas and Hanuman Jayanti, a big procession is carried out. Walking is the only way for pilgrims to reach here. In this temple, the statue of Bhadramaruti is in sleeping position.